or religious phenomenon. It's not. What happened in the suburbs had nothing to do with religion. But at one point, the people, when they are French citizens asking for their rights. But as they don't get the rights, they go to something which is a more radical posture on the political field. So be careful. It's sometimes the people who could get the rights in the society who are just going towards something which is more radical on the political ground. And this is something which is really important. And it comes to the second point upstream of the phenomenon, is not to Islamize the socio-economic problems. When we are dealing with problems of housing, jobs, these are socio-economic problems. Don't come with, it's a religious, it has nothing to do with Islam, it has nothing to do with the culture. It's a Danish problem. The government should solve the problem of socio-economic, realities, that equal rights, equal access to just housing, and this is what we, but the problem is that as we don't have an answer, the easiest way is to Islamize the problem. We have a problem with Islam. Oh, tell me, what about your religion? What about your origin? It has nothing to do with this. Why am I saying this again? Because this is a discourse nurturing the sense of alienation, and it could lead the people towards something which is, it's because like this, because I am a Muslim. And I will come to the discourse of the Muslims on that, but very quickly, just a few points. Not to connect, and I think it's essential, the radicalization of terrorists with integration. As I said, if you look at the profiles, they don't have a problem of what we call integration, social integration, cultural integration. They were culturally integrated, and they were not even meeting in mosques. Many people are saying, be careful, all these imams who are influencing them. All the people who were involved in London, they were not really connected to a mosque. They were meeting in gyms outside of the connection of the community. The problem is not, we need to do something about imams, that's for sure. But this obsession that is coming from a sector of the community, it's something which is, we have to be careful. It's not what we call integration, it's not the problem. But there is a problem at the highest level of this integration, what we were talking about, the psychological integration, the sense of belonging, that this is your country. Listen to all the discourse coming from the people who are involved in terrorist attack. It's always you against us. It's a binary vision. You, the non-Muslims, against us. So there is the religious problem that we have to solve, because we have common values and we have to stop talking about two different systems. But on the other side, there is something which has to do with a psychological sense of belonging. This is my country. I talk to the Danish, they are like me. This is my country. And this is something which is a two-way process. Then coming from the government, we need preemptive policy on education. What do we say in our school about the contribution of the Muslims? What do we say about our common history of memories? What do we officially say about contribution, positive presence? This is something which is really important. The discourse which is creating the atmosphere, helping for a better sense of belonging. And I will end by saying, and the Muslims on their sides should do something which is really important. Really important, and let me just give you the list of what are the priorities in what we have to do. As I said, coming from the government, education, social policies, I'm working in a project, I want it to be everywhere in Europe. I'm a visiting professor at Rotterdam University, Erasmus University, and I'm working with the municipality, because now it's finished. For me, I don't think that we have, the global answer or the national answer. I think now that what we really need is national movement of local initiatives, local authorities working with the people, connection, citizenship, come together, creating, partnerships and trust. And this is what we are doing in London, in some part of London, with the Mayor of London, working on that. In Rotterdam now is something which is a social project, working at the local level and creating this atmosphere of trust and also critical thinking, because this is something which is really interesting. Out of trust, I can ask you whatever I want. Out of mistrust, every single question is a problem, because I don't know how you are going to listen to it. So the problem here is really at the local level that we need to do something which is very deep, difficult. It's a long process. This is what I call the new we that we have to create. The new we is what? Exactly what is happening in this room tonight. Look at yourself. This is Denmark. You are Danish people coming from, Muslims, non-Muslims together in the same room. It's not the white, indigenous, old Danish people being colonized by these people. You can have this picture. As if this is the picture, you are in danger, really in danger of being colonized, really. Psychologically speaking and really physically. But I think if we look at what is Denmark today, it's really this reality of diversity and multicultural dimension. So the point here is coming from the Muslims first, self-criticism. Self-criticism is to be able to say, Islam is great, but not all the Muslims are great. So some Muslims are betraying my religion. Some Muslims are using my religion against what is right. And to be able to stand up and to say it. And to say it clearly, this is not, this is against. So this kind of self-criticism, which is also a duty of consistency. What we are asking to our society, duty of consistency as to the equal rights, this is what also we have to say as Muslims. These people are sometimes saying education, what we say about the Danish culture, about the European culture is part of me. When I'm speaking about being a European Muslim, I'm speaking about the sense of belonging. This is my culture. Yes, I'm Egyptian by memory, but I'm European by culture, and I have a positive stand on the European culture, because not everything in my country of origin is good, and many things in this culture are good. So this is, and loyalty. Loyalty is something which is really important, because at the end of the day, it's a really important question. Are you loyal to your country? If you feel really that you are part of this country, you're loyal to the country, and you want the best for this country. But there is no loyalty without being a critical loyalty. The true loyalty, the people who are the best for their society are the people who are critical when it comes to justice and values. Being able to say, for example, and this is what I said to the British government, look, my loyalty to our common values is to be able to say, I will struggle with you. I will be the first at the grassroots level against all these extremists, all these radicals. I will challenge them on the religious field, on the political field. But I'm telling you, I will never be with you. I will never be with you. If in the name of the British value, you go to do things at the international level who are against justice. I'm against the war in Iraq, and my loyalty to this country is to be able to tell you that I think it's wrong. No loyalty without critical loyalty. And every single citizen should be able to say this. You don't have to be white or non-Muslims to be able to experience that. And this is something which is really important. The future of Europe is to accept from the Muslims critical loyalty when it comes to international issues. And to be able also to be involved in this. And the last thing which is really important for the Muslims, to be involved in domestic issues, to be involved in the mainstream, to get rid of the religious isolation. And this is something which is really important. So, from the causes to the consequences, it's a two-way process. It's shared responsibilities that we need, and to come to the common values. I'm sorry, when I listen to you saying here that torture is something which couldn't be accepted, I will be the first with you to be able to say this. To say this not only when it comes to Abu Ghraib, or to say this when it comes to, for example, Guantanamo, when the Muslims are the first to say this is wrong, because this is wrong. 53% of the Americans are today saying, I may understand when you use torture. I would say, I don't. I will never accept that. But I also should be the first to say that in some jails, in some of our countries, the people are treated in a way which is not acceptable. The torture in the countries of origin as the torture in the West are unacceptable for all. No discussion, no condition, not at all differentiation. It's consistency. I think that this is the point, where we come together, where Muslims, non-Muslims, and true European citizens are consistent. If we want to promote democracy, let us be Democrats. If we want to promote justice, let us be consistent. And I think that out of this, we can nurture the sense of belonging and act against every kind of radicalization. Because with this situation, this stand and this position of power, we can challenge the religious discourse. We can challenge the political discourse. But with mistrust and opposition, I think that we are not going to solve the problem only with security policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much.